Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great day, that you're feeling well, that your family is well, and that you have all given love to each other on this wonderful day and showed them that they are all important to you. This is the headline. Trump's accountant reveals his tax returns. Donald reported losing $1 billion over 2 years and losses every year for a decade. Now, if you have a business that you're involved in and it's losing such a lot of money every year for a decade, that is not considered a real business. That is more like a hobby. You can't have such losses every year, and it's probably been more than a decade, but that's all they're accusing him of, and then call yourself a businessman. That's not business. That is fraud if you are in a business and making money, or it is something else. It's certainly not running a business. Businesses don't have those kinds of problems. Now I'm just going to read the headlines. This is all from the Daily Mail, and this is so involved. I'm going to come right from the article. So he has had this accountant for a very long time. This accountant has done 60% of his business with Donald Trump and the Trump Organization. So naturally, he has an affiliation with this group. He's going to make sure they get what they want. Whatever it is they're looking for, Donald Trump will get it. And so he says that he testified in the Manhattan Supreme Court that between 2009 and 2010, Trump reported he lost nearly $1 billion. And this accountant, Bender, was doing Trump's tax returns from 2009, to 2018. So the first year he had this accountant, he said he lost $1 billion, and the accountant did it. So this is his criminal tax evasion and tax fraud case of New York. So sad. Now we know lots of people, and there was that black actor who spent a large amount of time in jail for a relatively insignificant amount of underpayment of his taxes as compared to what Trump is doing here. What is his name? Whitney, I forgot, Snipes. Snipes spent a lot of time in prison. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they are bending for the race, they are bending for the wealth. Will they have equitable sentences? You know, when you look at Trump's finances, as he's reported to his accountant, and these people are only getting, some of them are only getting like 5 months in jail, and that'll be reduced to 2.5 months. And then because these guys are all older, they'll probably protest and probably won't get any jail time because of COVID. So these guys will have almost no jail time, and the courts make it so that it's much better financially to do the crime than to be honest and really report your income and losses. if you are in a position of privilege, such as Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, Ivanka, Eric, and Trump Jr., because this is, pretty ridiculous. And just the fact that it took them all this time, I mean, you would think that people would have been investigating Trump all along because he is such a big property holder in the state. You would think that they were saying, that they would say all along, well, we need to check and see what's going on because he is reporting so many losses, yet they know he was buying a lot of buildings, doing a lot of construction, and winning a lot of court cases against people who were doing the construction for his buildings. He would take them all to court and sue them that they didn't perform satisfactorily and that he wasn't going to pay them, at least not the full price, and he would win. Now this is the accountant, Bender, who got most of his work from Trump, and of course, knows that if he tells the full story, he'll totally lose Trump's business, and that will be major. I don't know how old that guy is, but he looks like he has a lot of working years left in him, so he's not going to want to alienate anyone from the Trump sphere, including all the mafia people that are probably able to give him shady accounting projects. I'm just having a hard time because I'm trying to center this. And then it says that in 2020, that's after he was president, he only paid $750 in federal income taxes. And in 2021, due to his significant losses. Well, what losses were those? We saw him every day on the golf course. He was charging the government lots of money for his protection. They were eating Trump steaks. They were drinking Trump water. They were staying at the Trump hotel. They were traveling. He was charging them for everything. Every day they protected him, Trump was charging the government huge, huge rates paid to Trump or the Trump Organization for their services. That was our money. So he couldn't have been losing that much money. He had to be making a lot of money. And then he was having all of these events at his own golf clubs. And he was making money off of everything they did there, every bit of food they ate, if they slept there, every game they played, using the golf carts, everything. When the guys had a day off and they were working at the Trump Resort, they stayed there still, and they were charged on their days off, and they probably played golf. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. The government should have immediately, maybe they did immediately after that, but I don't know. That's so crazy. It's hard to even realize the problems. That what's going on with the rich is not what's going on with the rest of us. This accountant says he never saw anything that looked crazy. If he knew what was going on that was illegal, he said he wouldn't have done it. He would have given up the business. Well, that's a lie. The accountant also said that Weisselberg was given money by Trump. He was also given free rent, free utilities, money to pay service people, including the doorman, sending people on trips, using cars, all that stuff. And he was doing that for around 12 years. And that money was never reported to the government, that income. And it was probably taken off of Trump's business losses. But don't you try that in any fashion. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There he is. Now this is Weisselberg, the person who was getting all the money from Trump and getting all the services. Trump was paying for people's school, paying their tuition at private elementary schools, private middle schools, private high schools, college tuition, books, and all that stuff. All that stuff was coming off of his taxes as expenses, and it was never being reported as income by Weisselberg. And those schools per child cost about $57,000 a year. So if these people have a number of children or a number of people that Trump wants to get through, including Trump's kids, they all were in this package, getting the everything paid for, the best schools, the best everything. And that's why the schools are so expensive, because they do have these people who are in business, and they're paying $57,000 a year for these elite schools, and no one is suffering. No one has any incentive to have the schools cheaper so more people could go, because they're not being charged themselves. This is all coming right off the top of the government. Weisselberg, who had all this money coming in and never reported it, only got 5 months in jail. Now I look at his age, he's very old, so he'll claim COVID. He probably never wore that mask until this case came up in court. But he'll claim COVID to get out of jail. He'll probably only do 2.5 months anyway, even without COVID. So, I mean, you can't say, if you send all your kids to school for free, get all kinds of benefits for your family, it's better to do the crime than to pay all the taxes. He's in a much better position. But it said here that the Trump Organization is looking at $1.5 million in fines. I guess that's that does not include taxes. So it would be taxes owed and fines, I assume. But they only said 1.5 million in fines. So again, even being able to borrow, if somebody would allow you to borrow $2 million, you didn't have to pay taxes on it, you could do whatever you want, and then 10 years later they would say, okay, well, you had that money, and so we need to collect the taxes, and we're going to fine you. You have had such an advantage by having that money for 10 years with no strings attached that you're much better off having taken the money and not reported it. It's crazy. I just wanted to add that Trump has won his case against his niece. She was claiming that Trump owed her a lot of money because her father, Trump's brother, who is now deceased, was owed a lot of money when their father died, her grandfather, and that the money was not split properly. She only got $2 million of the money, and she has estimated, I think she was supposed to get about 10 million. So she was very unhappy. She has talked about it at great length. She's written books. So she has profited in that way because those books were very popular. But the court said no, she had signed away rights to any more money. She took the 2 million, and they said that she took it and it didn't look like she was under duress. It didn't look like she was not properly notified of what she was doing, and on and on. And so they said that she had been paid off, and that was it. That case was closed, and so Trump won. He does not owe her any money from his inheritance from his father. So that was a win for Trump. And this whole thing of the Congress getting Trump's taxes, that is crazy. They only said he has to reveal 6 years of his taxes. Well, 6 years goes back to the year when he was elected president. So it doesn't even include any of the years, according to the information I have, of before that, when he was probably really doing a lot of crime in New York City, or wherever, Mar-a-Lago, wherever he went. So that's a small win for the Democrats, for the January 6th panel, and they are so slow in getting that win that now that the election's over, that panel is going to be shuffled. A lot of Republicans are going to get on it, and they won't have any interest in pursuing any tax problems that will come out in that revelation. So it's really sad that our government is working so slow. It's so ineffective. I mean, it's only good for writing a book for the future, because I don't see that Trump stuff is going to really do anything. They work so slow that they have a month and a half before the end of the year, and Trump will probably take most of that time trying to stall getting his papers from his accountant and to the Congress, and then the Congress will take forever to read it, and plus they're going to be on holiday, and even they won't want to read it. And so it's a shallow victory, as I see it, for the January 6th committee and for anything coming out of that committee. And my condolences to the people who were injured protecting the building, who were fighting off the people as they were pushing them into doors and so forth, crushing them, making it difficult for them to breathe, and some who died. Many suffered post-traumatic stress and had to give up working because it was so horrible. They are not really trained for that kind of duty. I used to know people who worked on that kind of job, and a lot of them were students. They would go to the government buildings, apply for these jobs, and they would be offered jobs as security at various points, or elevator people or whatever. And they certainly aren't thinking about the place being raided by citizens, such that they would be crushed, asphyxiated, battered, and killed. Just aren't thinking about that. So, condolences over this holiday to all of those people who are still living and suffering. My prayers are with you, and sorry that this January 6th committee probably won't produce anything really good to help. But we'll have to see what happens. I'm not calling the last shot right now, but it looks extremely doubtful that this committee will produce anything but a book. So we'll see. Anyway, take care. I love you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day and that your weekend is great and that you are safe. Have a safe holiday, and I will talk to you later. Love you all. Bye-bye.